Awesome. Thank you all for that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ladies behind the scenes, we are always just giving you all an amazing thank you, an amazing round of applause. You are the first here, the last to leave. You are the reason that the Daniel and Esther Network runs seamlessly behind the scenes. So thank you for that. So it's actually my time to present to you. I'm not going to read my bio because that just kind of feels kind of weird talking about myself by reading a bio. But as you all know, I am the CEO of the Daniel and Esther Network. My name is Dr. Sherrie Walton. And once I became a part of this organization, I just saw the hand of God on what he was doing and what he was speaking for kingdom believers to understand their rightful place, right? So today, as I'm talking, I'm going to be talking about emerging as a leader by writing your best-selling book and creating course curriculum. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. And we will get this started. Well, actually, but right before I hit share, I just want to tell you this story. You all know I like to come and I have stories every time I come before you. I remember back in 2016 when I wrote my first book. It is a 40-day devotional for moms. And when I wrote that book, it was a pain. I went through pain. I went through so many different moments of where birthing that book seemed to be just such a hard task. But after I birthed that book, there was something that was awakened on the inside of me, and my business really elevated to the next level when it came to mentorship and coaching others. But I remember one day we were in Dallas, Texas. As you all know, I am from Houston, Texas. So when Mr. Collins said that his home is in Houston, I'm sure I've driven by that area at some point. But when I was in Houston, Texas, I was in Dallas, Texas, doing a visit with a client. And I remember being in one of the hotels, and it was a high-rise hotel. And as we were, I got on the elevator, and there was a gentleman there with his family. And so we kind of just exchanged pleasantries. And then he said to me, he said, "So what do you do?" You know, so he kind of put me on the spot. And I said, well, at the time I said, well, I'm an author. I just wrote my first book. And the climate shifted in that elevator. He said, "Wow, you're an author." And I said, "Yes, I just wrote my first book." So he asked me what the book was about. I told him what the book was about. And he just started to ask me so many questions about myself and what inspired me to write. And then he went on to tell me that he always wanted to write a book. And he thought about telling his story. And he thought about doing so many things that he was never able to write the book at that time. I hope that the gentleman has written his book by now. But I said that to say that when I mentioned that I was an author, it was almost like a certain air was about me, where he started to see me in a different light. So I went from just being that girl that walked on the elevator to being an author. Someone, when he looked at me, he realized she really knows something. Now, I don't know if I really knew anything, but I just knew at the time I was an author. So I was able to use that to catapult in my business. So I want to share with you today on how becoming an author, how becoming a leader in the marketplace, a lighthouse leader by leading with your words and leaving a legacy in the earth realm shifts the trajectory of your business. So I'm going to go ahead and share my slides with you. So let's go ahead and get started. So because I didn't get a chance to read my bio, I'll just tell you a few things about what I do. I'm not sure why it's not allowing me to play the slideshow, but that's okay. We will make it work. Here we go. All right, there we go. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my level of expertise, because of course, when someone tells you about writing a book, you say, "Hey, well, what do you know about writing a book?" You may have written a book, but does that really mean that you're an expert? Well, today my company, Walton Publishing House, has helped some other authors write their books and become Amazon bestsellers. So I wanted to just share a few of those authors that we have had the pleasant opportunity and the honor to work with. And as you can see by these little gold symbols on the front of their books, that they have become Amazon bestsellers, which means they came in as #1 in their category in the premiere of their book. Recently, Real Estate Millionaire Secrets We helped her write her book. Noelle Randall, she actually interviewed me on her YouTube page a few days ago, and she sold over 4,000 copies of her book before it, actually within the first month, 2,500 copies before it was even released. So I spoke with her after she had already built such an amazing following to tell her the impact of what writing a book would do for her. She then went on to sing my praises and say, you were absolutely right. Although there were so many other areas that I have achieved success in, it's something about when I wrote this book, it just started to open up different areas of opportunity for me. So we are going to be taking it from the understanding of what does it mean? So did you know that writing a book establishes your credibility in the marketplace? So as business owners, we know that we are ultimately selling a product, whether it's a service, being what we offer, or a product itself. When we have the credibility is everything, right? Because people have to believe that you can deliver what you say that you can deliver. So did you know that when you write a book, it tends to make people feel that you are more credible. They believe that you know what you're talking about in a particular area. It also increases your visibility and demand. I love that when I started writing books, I realized that I did not have to work as hard with my marketing because my books were able to precede me and open up other opportunities. It's also a PR opportunity. Do you know, and then we had Jenny on earlier talking about public relations. When you have a book, you actually make it easier for a publicist to be able to promote you and be able to get you into additional doors to talk about your business. Writing a book also can build trust and foster a more genuine connection with your consumers. People believe when they read about you in a book, they know you. That's just how it is. People right now, the climate of business has shifted, where before you can run a business and people really did not have to know who the CEO was or who the founder was. In today's age, when you do business, people want to do business with those that they like, which means when they connect with you, when they understand who you are, they are more easily ready to say yes to your business or your service. Writing a book introduces you as an industry leader and expert. A book is the #1 signal of expertise. The media wants to talk to experts, and they judge expertise by the person who wrote on the subject. So when we talk about being a lighthouse leader, we're telling you, as you shift yourself, as you become an expert in your field, it's okay for you to start writing about it, right? As you write about it, it creates additional opportunities. A book helps you get on stages. Do you know how much easier it is for you to get on a stage when you can tell them, okay, you've written this book, and they bring you on and say the author of will be here telling us how they did. Right? Those type of opportunities for you to get on stage is very, very, very important, especially if you want to be a professional speaker, right? And I believe that there's so many different aspects of your business that is necessary that honestly, you can't really avoid speaking and talking and presenting in front of others. Writing a book makes that easier. It creates additional streams of revenue in your business. Now, I mentioned to you my client, how we help her, she sold 4,000 books in this last month. And then from that, she's able to create additional coaching opportunities. And from that, she's able to get people to sign up for different services that she offers. So not only did the book create one stream of revenue, it created multiple streams from one source. So when we talk about being a lighthouse leader, we got to lead with wealth, right? There's certain things that we need. We need money in our business in order to be able to run our businesses effectively. Writing a book did something else for me that I don't know if those of you all that have written books before, you kind of realize that when you write a book, you literally got to know what you're talking about, and you have to be able to explain it to others. I think that's one of the challenges that entrepreneurs have, communication. I do a lot of business coaching. I do a lot of business coaching, and I find out that when I ask people what they do, They have a hard time explaining it. And when I say, okay, well, then the service that you offer, what can you do to help me get from A to Z? They start to stutter. They start to say, well, you know, you go, I do this and then I do that. There's no streamlined way that they can tell me to get from A to Z. Now, when you come to me as a book writing coach and a publisher and you say, how do I write my book? I literally tell you all the steps needed because first of all, I was able to write it in a book and able to explain it. That's one of the reasons I really encourage business owners to write books. It's not necessarily about telling your life story. It's about what can you do? What can you offer in your business? How can you put it in a way that you'll be able to touch more people? Because honestly, if you're a consultant, right, there's only so many people you can touch. There's only so many hours in the day. But if you have already written out information in a book and people are able to plug into that, then they're literally able to be a part of your business without physically you're having to sit there with them, right? So what we want to do in 2021, and I don't know about you, I'm going to talk about me. I want to work smarter and not harder. I don't want to be all things to all men. I don't want to be in every boardroom. I still have a family. I still have a husband. I still have children. I still have a life. So outside of my business, I want to be able to create systems in my business that's still able to go and to move forward while I'm operating my business without it affecting my bottom line. Writing a book also does that. It helps you connect to a new audience. There were people that literally are globally that are downloading books and audio books and ebooks and so many different areas that people that you would probably never meet. Just based on that one interview that I did this week, I believe had over 6,000 plus views in a few days. Based on that, my inbox has been full of prospects. When I say full, I want to say maybe 30 to 40 prospects within 2 days because they saw that one interview. They saw that interview because I wrote a book. Do you see how this starts to come together? So when you start to write, when you put your work out there, it creates additional opportunities and allows you to connect with the new audience. And honestly, it makes it easy. I teach people how to repurpose their content. Once you have written a book, you're able to repurpose that content to be able to teach it over and over, create additional streams of revenue, and then teach other people how to do that. It is a win-win situation. So I want to quickly just go over some of the best-selling genres right now when it comes to writing a book. Money. Who doesn't want to read about money? Business and financial management is always number one. People cannot get enough of reading financial books. So if you are savvy in this area, if you teach people about wealth management, if you teach people the principles of God's kingdom of wealth, those are the books that people are looking for. Motivation, self-help, how-to. We want to, I laugh because I know a lot of people read motivation books. Now, whether or not they go out and do what you tell them in that, that's a different story, but they're willing to read the book over and over again. Spirituality and religion, definitely speak on your faith. That is something that is never going to go anywhere. If you are in ministry, then I would definitely say you should write something in this area. If you are looking to be a motivational speaker, then you stay under the area of motivation. If you are looking to help people grow in their business and understand finances, then you stay under the category of money and wealth. And now I'm not saying you can't write in any of these other areas, but you need to think about the area, your niche, what you can sit out there and what you can lead in. Relationships, health and fitness, and beauty are other genres of business. So what you write about? Because people say, okay, I want to write a book, but I have no idea what to write about. Or I have you say, okay, I'm going to write a book, but I want to write about everything. Well, you can't write about everything, right? We want you to write about the things that you are an expert in, an area that you have proven results. Now, let me stop there. Pause. Proven results. Okay, so if you tell me that you are an expert, then I'm just going to say relationships, but you've never had a healthy relationship. How about we don't write a book on relationships, right? But if you have proven results that you have been in a healthy relationship, and now you can give me tips and how to, absolutely write a book on that. You have become an expert in that. Now, expert does not mean that you've actually attended school for this particular area. A lot of us are working in areas that we did not go to school for, right? It's things that you have over time learned, experience. You have the expertise, and you have the testimonials to back it up. When I became a coach, it was literally because people started asking me to coach them. I didn't even consider myself a coach. I was just really giving people the inspiration and motivation to tell them, to pick themselves up and move on with their lives. But they literally started calling me a coach. But within that, I was able to get legitimate, proven results of people that can track the services and the things that I offer to them. So then I was able to become a coach because I had become known as that. Okay. Another thing you should write about, if you are the product of the solution. I like this one because when you deal with having a relationship with Christ, you are a product of that. So if you want to talk about how to know Christ, how to grow in Christ, how to have certain prayer points or different scriptures that you use, you are a product of that solution. However, again, I go back and say, if there's things that you are still dealing with or growing through, we're not going to write a book about that, right? We're going to read someone else's book about that, and we're going to allow you to put that in your journal. That's just something you can put on the side. Okay, you're an expert for something that you have a lot of knowledge in. So now that your mind is maybe going, and I just want to kind of give a moment to take that in, you're saying to yourself, okay, I see this. There's certain things that I'm an expert in, and I am ready to move forward. So I want you to keep in mind when you're choosing a topic that you should write in. If it's a business related, I want you to think about how can your clients use the information that you're providing in the book to get better results. If it's a personal memoir, how can your ideal reader overcome a situation? Now, when we talk about being a lighthouse leader, I coach a lot of people in writing their books. And I tell you all the time, everyone is married to their story. Everybody believes that they have the best story. They believe that they've been the only one that's gone through trauma in life. And I have to tell them the reality is this comes a dime a dozen. There are a lot of people with extremely similar background. There are billions of people in this world. So don't think that you're the only one with your story. But the uniqueness of that is to say, what did you learn from your story so now that you can help someone else? Because when you write a memoir or your personal story, it's not just about me hearing about every single traumatic experience that you had. And trust me, this is not to downplay that you've gone through some things. But what I'm saying to you is, how can you help someone else? After they finish reading your book, what do they take away from it? If you say that they're not taking away anything but another sad story, then I would say, I personally, and I'm not saying that you can't ever write a book, but I would say that may not be the best move for you. Now, if you just want to go through a healing and a cleansing to write the book, that's one thing. But there's another thing when you want somebody else to buy the book, because remember, buyers say, what's in it for me? So I'm going to read your story, but how does that impact my life? If it's a spiritual or Christian book, what new revelation can you offer on the subject matter? Please, when I talk to people about writing books, let's stop copycatting information that's already out there. The Holy Spirit brings fresh revelation. He brings fresh insight. So there should be something, even though you've read the same scripture as I read, you should have a different understanding of it. Right? So I believe that Mr. Collins spoke on that earlier. We need to deal from our own inspiration. So God, the Holy Spirit he inspires you, right? So within that, you should have a different message. You should not sound like everyone else that's talking about faith, everyone that's talking about purpose, everyone that's talking about identity. There's something unique. Remember, we talked about this in multiple sessions. There's a uniqueness to your voice. There's a uniqueness to your gift, and you need to tap into that. If in relationships, how can your ideal reader have a healthy relationship? And I'm going to try to move through these pretty quickly, but ultimately what you're doing with your book as a lighthouse leader is the same thing you're doing with your business. You're finding a problem and you're solving it. Your life's work solves a problem. Your task is to find out what problem you solve. Now, so, and then after you find out what problem you solve, who do you solve it for? Why would they want to read your book? Why would they want to read your tips? Why would they want to read your story? How do you solve their problem? Now, this is where we talk about multiplication. And this is where wealth creation comes in. How do you find others with the same problem? Because it's one thing to find one person that has your problem or that problem. How do you find 5 people that have that problem? How do you find 10 people that have that problem? I believe that once you have a book, once you have a curriculum, once you have a course that solves a problem, people will start to find you. People will start to gravitate to you. Then you want to say, we talk about systems. Now that you found people with a problem, how do you replicate the system? How do you replicate the solution and create a system? Remember, we're talking about business. I've seen so many business owners that are burnt out, so many ministries that are burnt out because they're trying to do all things to all men. But sometimes, and I would even say sometimes, most times, you can't. So you have to find a system that you can put in place. I believe that having a funnel system set up with your books so that you can connect with people will allow you to connect with others while still keeping your mental sanity. And that's what it is about as an entrepreneur. We want to help others, but we don't want to go crazy in the process. So when I talk to people, and these are some of the things that I hear when people, I say, okay, I believe you have a book inside of you. There's a solution that you have. And they say, I can't do this. I'm terrible at writing. Everybody else is writing a book. I definitely don't need to write a book. I don't have that much to say. I mean, you want me to come up with 40,000 words? Well, I don't have that many words in me. And I definitely don't have the time to write a book. And I say, you see what I say to that? That's fake news. I'm from the United States, so everything is fake news in the US. but when we shift it, when we shift to what God says about us, yes, you absolutely can do this. Yes, you are going to write your bestseller. Yes, your words in your book and your words are needed in the earth realm. Yes, you are a top communicator. You will make time for what is important to you. So what does it take? What does it take to be able to write a book? And I don't know, I don't have a lot of time to spend on this one, but I can literally spend 45 to 5 hours on this one. Clarity, a message. Don't just write a book because you want to write a book and then you check it off your goal list. At least a book that you want to sell and people are going to buy. Clarity in your message. Who are you talking to? What problem are you solving? That goes back to what we said. These are the foundations to writing a book. Having an objective for the book. What is your reader going to walk away with? Not just another hot, steaming read. What are they going to walk away with? And literally, how are you going to get them there? Because sometimes people start with very great openings to their book and their closings are terrible. They lose you in the middle, they drop. You need to make a book map is what I do for my books. You need to create a mapping for your book that takes your client, that keeps them involved, keeps them engaged. It also takes a commitment to the writing process or hiring a writing expert. Every writer that you see that is a bestseller is not a writer. They have people around them that are very good writers. It's their story, but someone else told the story for them. That's also an opportunity. So don't beat yourself up saying, you know what, when I left college, when I left high school, I decided I was never going to write another paper again. I was done. Finito, finished. I'm walking away from it. Well, hire someone that can help you tell your story. There's so many creative ways for you to do that. Then how do you begin? You create detailed steps explaining your solution. You create the objective, as I mentioned earlier, and this is a good one. You write to your audience of one. Everybody is not your audience. There is an audience of one. And when I'm training people on how to write, I tell them, think of your ideal client sitting on the other side of the table. You're having tea, you're having coffee, you're sitting there talking. What would you tell them? That's what you need to think about when you're writing your book. And this can be a challenge. I understand that. If you want your book to go around the world and reach everyone, if you target your audience of one, it will reach everyone that it's supposed to reach. So there are a few different options when it comes to books. Obviously, there's a traditional book, 30 to 50,000 words, give or take. This is something I get all the time. How many words do I need until you're done? No, but we want to say no more. I generally say for a full-size book, 150 pages, we're looking at about 30,000 words. 50,000 takes you to that 200-page mark. You also have the ebook. Digital books are very big right now. Do you know that you can actually download ebooks from the library? The library is recognizing digital books right now. So you can say, okay, well, I don't have time to write a 30,000 to 50,000 page book. Okay, well, do you have enough time to write 7,000 words? Can you then put that with a solution and then get that into a library or a digital format or Amazon Kindle? There's no excuse for you not to be able to do this. Then there is the audio book. The audio books are hot right now. If you have a book and it's not in an audio book format, you are losing money. You are leaving a lot of money on the table. And I'll talk a little bit about those stats as we close out, because right now, everybody is listening to audio books. They're listening to them at the gym. They're listening to them in their cars. E-learning, everyone wants to listen on the go. So if you don't have an audio book of your book, you need to fix that. Okay, another thing that I didn't put on here is consider, and I talk to my clients about this, creating a book with additional languages. Everybody doesn't speak English. But there are people in an audience that will connect with you once you have your book translated in a different language. So I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. How do you sell your book? You have book clubs, organizations, bookstores, master classes and workshops. You can actually teach the course and sell the book attached to it, speaking engagement, corporate events, schools and universities, online platforms, joint ventures, and partnerships. And just quickly to talk about, earlier I said, I had my client, she did an interview, she talked about me, created a joint venture opportunity. Sales were able to come in just based on that partnership. And we mentioned that earlier about the Daniel and Esther Network. We're looking to create joint ventures and partnerships and opportunities so that you can sell more books. So tip for writing success, have a vision for your book, the entire book, the opening, the middle, and the end. Map out your story before you begin. Include all the points that you want your reader to take away. Again, I said earlier, what is your reader going to walk away with? Create an opening that captivates your story from the beginning. No one likes to read a boring book. People of God, kingdom people, entrepreneurs, people don't like reading boring. So from the very first page, there has to be something that makes me want to connect with you and stay connected with you. Think about your reader. Write to one reader, as I said earlier. Define who they are and how they can relate to you. Be sure to research your target reader and find out what they are reading and what they want to read. This is a very big one because I get a lot of people that says they're writing a book because they want to write a book and the book speaks to them. Okay, well, are you buying all your books? Are you the person that's going to order 10,000 copies, or do you need to find people that are going to connect with you and want to hear your story? I would say you need to do your research. You need to find the people, connect with the people that want to read what you have. I went through that pretty quickly, and I do see some questions going up, and we will get back to you all before we close out today. But I want to give you some last words. So when we talk about creating wealth, and you say, well, books sound good, but that's not me. Well, the global e-learning market will reach 325 billion in 2025. Do you want to be a part of that? Do you want to access the wealth that is taking place in e-learning marketing, e-learning market? And that's literally writing a book, creating a course around it, connecting with people that want to hear your message and need what you have. Print books, look at this. Print books rose 8.2% in 2020 to $750.9 million in sales. Books are not dying, guys. People are reading more books, especially when COVID hit. They had nowhere to go. They literally was buying books left and right, audiobooks, print books, digital books. They're listening and they're looking for the content that you have. If you are going to be a lighthouse leader, if you are going to lead in the marketplace, it's time for you to come from behind the shadows and lead with the expertise and the level that God has given you. In 2020, this is what I mentioned earlier about audiobooks. In 2020, audiobook sales increased by 16% in the United States and generated over $1.2 billion in revenue. Again, I will say it and I will keep reiterating. If you don't have your book in an audiobook format, you are not tapping into the increased sales that's taking place in the book and distribution industry. This is just a little plug because you all know I'm a salesperson at heart, right? So we have an opportunity with what we're doing. Greatness Publishing is under the direction of Ambassador Dr. Thomas. Him and I have partnered up to help create more faith-based authors that this world has ever seen. Like, we're taking over the world. Like Mr. Collins said earlier, we're building this a big building. We're going big, we're going deep, we're going wide. We are looking to help people get their message out there. It is time for the gospel to go forth. There are so many people that are influencing business, what is being heard, what is being read. You have to step forward. So if you say, all of this sounds really great, Dr. Sherrie, I don't know about writing a book, I don't know where to start. You went so quickly through this presentation today that I'm still confused. Then you have an opportunity to join us. Greatness Publishing is hosting, starting next month, monthly workshops to help you learn how to write your book, map your book out. So this says, this lady looks really distressed. This is what I find most people when they're looking to write their book. They've been looking to write for 10 years, 12 years. They have this burden on them. Do you have a story to tell but have no idea where to start? Have you begun to write but just can't seem to complete those chapters? Well, if yes, we want to help you bring your gift, your message, and your vision into reality. Now, as I get ready to close, I want to say one thing I like about being a faith-based writing coach and a publisher is I believe that no one should scale back what God is telling you to say, right? So a lot of times when you work with writers or coaches or people that are publishers that are not faith-based, you will find oftentimes they tell you to kind of hone back on some of the things that you say because, okay, they don't want you to offend people or people may not understand where you're coming from. That is the beauty of being connected with a faith-based business like Greatness Publishing. And we want to say there is an opportunity for you to step in to be a part of this billion-dollar industry. Billion-dollar industry. People are paying you just to share what you know. Is that a sweet deal? People are paying you based on your life's experience. I sell books based on the trials that I've been through that has allowed me to reach the area of level of expertise that God has allowed me through my pain. Through my pain, I was able to write about it. So I want to go ahead and say just thank you all for the opportunity to be in front of you all. I pray that there was some good nuggets that came out of what was shared. I can't see the chat because it's moving pretty quickly, but I pray that there's certain things that kind of sparked you. It was my It was my goal today to make you feel like I felt when I stood on that elevator. And that man said to me, oh, you're an author. Yes, yes, I am. And you can be too. So thank you all so much. And I'm going to say, I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to the hostess and those that are taking care. We're going to go ahead and take another commercial break. We are going to go ahead and then we will bring Dr. Thomas up and I will be introducing him.